Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the fourth episode of The Ways We've Moved. We've covered a lot of track within a month. This is our first month of launching the podcast, and we've already had, three interviews. I was hoping to only do two interviews a month and then two big talks, but it's turning out to be quite interesting. And we do have a lot of people who want to talk, and that's great. And I thank you all for that. Let me introduce you, our next speaker, who is Andrea Arena, who is the technical lead for a company called the Edge Company. And the Edge Company is a very innovative company based in Italy. And these guys are all, by the way, aviators. They're all, they know a lot about aviation. They've thrived for the last few decades in it. One of the great things that I love about the Edge Company, and I've known them for a few years now, is that they have a solution for current aviation and also the future of aviation, what we call advanced air mobility, or AAM for short. So here is, without further ado, here is Andrea. Thank you, Andrea. Take it away. Great. Well, thank you, Andrea, for joining us today. Please introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about your background and how you got to this company.
Hi, good morning, Nikos. Good morning to everybody, and thanks for having me. My name is Andrea. I am the Chief of Operations at the Edge Company, deep tech company in Italy, which I will talk about a little bit later. About me, a little bit about me. I spent most of my working life flying airplanes, starting with fighter airplanes in the military. I worked for the Italian Air Force. And then I joined a civilian company and I started flying civilian aircrafts. From there, I became a simulator instructor at one of the leading edge fighter schools in the world, I would say, which is IFTS, International Fighter Training School in Italy. And from there, here I am at the Edge Company. So this is in a nutshell, my 5 lives.
So it's interesting because first of all, I want to say that you've flown one of my favorite all-time jet fighter, the F-104, which is a mythical airplane for I think many of us. And I don't want to start talking about that because we'll end up talking about that only for this show. But tell us a little bit also about what is the Edge Company, and then we'll talk about what drew you over here into this airspace. So what is the Edge Companies? What are you guys doing?
The Edge Company is a company born in 2017. His CEO is one of my former colleagues from the Air Force, actually. He was responsible for the flight safety at his squadron. And so the idea was to bring some of our experience to do something useful. So we started thinking about mitigating the problem of bird strikes at airport with technology. So we gathered a great team of experts, engineers, IT engineers, data analysts, and biologists as well. And we came up with a system which is on the hardware side is leading edge technology. We're using high performance computing servers and very capable cameras. And then we developed the proprietary software in order to optically find, detect, track, and count birds down to the bird species. It's a pretty amazing system. Of course, the company is pretty young, so we're trying to become famous in the world, getting there.
We're
Trying
working
to
on it.
replace, yeah, exactly. So we're trying to replace more outdated systems to track and detect birds. And not only that, but we want to bring, as I said before, our experience in the field. So wherever we go and install a system, we bring our ideas and we try to work together with and partner with the airports to develop procedures, operational procedures using our system to mitigate the problem. Because there are people saying, especially in some part of the world, they just say, okay, I want a system that gets rid of the birds. And that's not possible. So You need to explain them. It's a very long process. And the beauty about the system is that it's based on AI, so it learns by collecting data, and it learns from the same data that we collect and improves over time. So it gets more and more capable of identifying species and getting detections in places where other systems would fail. And we're also collecting a very big data lake with all these things. Now, from here to detecting anything else, it's a very short step. So at a certain point, we said, okay, why not work on detecting drones, which is something that people ask
Yep.
a lot.
Yes.
So we started working on that, and we're getting there as well. And from there, urban air mobility. Why not? Right? Because uh, there's a lot of money involved in urban air mobility, and everybody's trying to build vertiports and eVTOLs and things like this. And governments are trying to regulate the new traffic and make new rules for this new kind of traffic so that it doesn't interfere with the classic commercial traffic or other things. But nobody is actually thinking about deconflicting eVTOLs and
Mm.
advanced air mobility
Mhm.
traffic from what we call non-cooperative obstacles. So, for example, it could be a small drone flown by a kid just
Yeah.
close to the
Yeah.
vertiport, or birds as well, or even
Yeah.
an animal entering the vertiport, especially when this thing in the future will be unmanned and not
Yes.
24 controlled 24/7. And so we started developing some ideas on this field and developing our own operational um, basically background on a way to do this. Just think about this. Think about an emergency pad, emergency area where you want your eVTOL to land in case of a problem. There will be some designated areas along the corridor, of course, right? But that
Yeah.
could be anything. It could be a grass field. It could be the parking area, parking lot of a supermarket or something. Now, how do you know that that is available? I mean, if the eVTOL has to land there, and it's not possible to control it real time unless you put sensors there, and then you create a network of information, and then you can automatically in real time give the eVTOL the information you need. So okay, you can land there, you can land there, you cannot land there, and so on. So we're working on this.
Yeah, and actually, I think one of the things that really won me over from our early talks about a year or 2 years ago is how you guys have found basically an affordable solution to a traditionally very expensive one, right? I think a lot of airports have to spend something like $3 to $5 million for a radar system that is yet in the end pretty limited, but your solution is a fraction of that price using current technology that we have right now. So is that a fair way of saying it?
Yeah, indeed, it is absolutely. A radar is a pretty expensive thing, and also it needs a lot of maintenance. Our system
Hmm.
is basically maintenance free. Um, and the radar concentrates on getting detections far away from the airport. So they can claim to get detections at 10 kilometers away. But then we said, wait a minute, why would we care about a bird flying 10 kilometers from here? Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's gonna be on the airport over the airport in 3, 4 minutes. Well, um, so we wanted to concentrate only in the bubble around the
Yes.
airport and only in the sensitive areas. So, for example, on the finals, and as a matter of fact, we developed so-called smart scanning, so that the cameras will
Mm.
they're connected to an DSB receiver, and they will know when an
Ah,
aircraft is about to take off or land. So the
bingo.
cameras will concentrate on the area where an aircraft is about to fly on. So, and then, as you know, burst strikes happen in most of them, like more than 90% of the bird strikes happen in the last 300 feet from the ground. And that
Yep.
means 1 mile, 2 miles away. So we don't care too much about looking very far. And that's where we concentrate on. And we can spot birds and objects on the ground as well. So not only flying ones.
Yeah, and actually, I don't know if you've read the preliminary reports on the Juju air crash in Korea. Apparently, bird strikes on both engines,
Yeah.
right? So that would do that. One of the things that really surprised me is, at first not really knowing the full extent of video cameras, and I have no excuse because I kind of spend a lot of my time doing that. But you guys had some really good numbers, even in the middle of fog. So even a place like London that used to get a lot of fog, but even other places, you have a pretty high level of penetration even through the fog. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, basically, whatever you can see with your eyes, the cameras can see, and a little bit further actually. So if it's really foggy and you have no visibility, then
Yeah,
probably birds are
yeah,
not flying anyway.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Good point.
so, but in harsh weather conditions like rain or the very low visibility conditions, we have
Yeah.
a pretty good track record of detections. Because our system, for every detection you get the recording of a video that we use also to retrain the system after we analyze that. So it cannot
Wow.
lie. So wherever we say
Wow.
we got a 98% true positive rate, that means we analyzed the videos and we did have that. So that's something that I mean, we what we say is just what you have there.
Yeah, yeah. WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. Actually, another thought that just popped in my mind is the insurance or NTSB reports and everything. That would be very helpful for these kind of agencies, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we were trying to work on that as well, but again, we're pretty small. We're from Italy, and uh, it takes time. And so you'll hear
Yeah.
talking about us in 5 years from now. We'll be all over the place. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it should be. It should be. It makes a lot of sense. Another thing too that I was thinking about is you also, I guess, you're working with bird, the pilgrimage, the migrations of birds and everything. You have to also take all of those things into consideration, correct? And then I have another question. I'll just wait till you answer that one first.
Yes, we do. We have a couple of different usage of the system. There's a tactical um, usage. That means the airport operator knows tactically, so real
Hmm.
time, what the presence of birds are in the area, so they can apply some mitigation measures. And we can also control deterrents like smart cannons, gas cannons in a smart way. So without the intervention of an operator, even though at airports we would like to have the man in the middle, having someone just to press the button because it's a complicated thing. And then there's another use. It's a strategic use because through the year we constantly monitor the area, and then we collect all the data and we gather the data and we study the data so we can come up with migration patterns and presence when. Um, Percentages of presence during the day, during the month. And all this can help the airport operator to come up with a strategy for seasonal strategy or something. And that translates in savings as well.
Yeah, that's true. Savings, insurance, a lot of things there, and plus uptime in operations, because you do have visual data that backs up everything you say. Is this something that would actually fit on drones? Because one of the things that I'm thinking about when it comes to vertiports or multiports is I always thought that it's crucial to have drones part of passengers eVTOLs because, well, there are eyes in the sky, right? Would it be possible to use these drones to have an actual 360 above view of the bubble of the vertiport multiport, or is this something you're looking into?
Yeah, we're looking at a version of our system which will be airborne. So we need to, right now we're using big servers, very heavy. So we need to work on, and we are working on smaller things to be hosted on airplanes, even in spacecrafts actually. So we're in the
Ah.
process of talking to important agencies in the world to, uh, so yeah, we're
Gee, I wonder what they are, which ones they are. Yeah, you know what? And that's by the way, that's a great point. I didn't think about that one, but up there in space, ISS territory and everything, but that's probably even a lighter solution than having a radar, especially when modules have to connect and connect with each other. I mean, that didn't think
Yeah,
about that
another
one.
thing is it's our system and our software is totally proprietary, so we're very flexible and so we can interface with the other systems. So for space usages, for example, an optical sensor by itself is not enough. So
Yep.
we probably have to couple that with the radar or other things. And yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's probably lack of light and everything up there, depending on where you are and everything. That's a good point.
Yeah, for
One
telemetry and things like.
Yeah. So yeah, because I guess it would make a lot of sense also if the drones added another perspective to what you have on the ground and everything. One of the things that I'm really happy to hear is your backgrounds. I mean, all of you have actual real aviation, aerospace background, and I think that's an important thing to say. So especially this is a question I have coming from where you're coming from, which is conventional aviation, whether it's military or civilian. How do you guys see AAM? How do you, I mean, is this like a puff dream or is this something that that will happen eventually? How do you guys look at this whole thing?
Yeah, I think it will happen eventually, not with the pacing that we're expecting. So it's not something that is going to happen in the
No,
next 1 or 2 years. But
no.
yes, that's the future. I'm sure.
But how do you see you guys play a big role in it? And then I'll ask about the corporations you have with different entities and companies out there. What do you see your role playing in specifically in AM? Or in other words, what is the problem that you're solving in AM that no one else is doing right now?
Yeah, like I said, it's we're trying to think about problems that other people are not thinking right now. So we're trying um, to go ahead in the future and with our solutions and think about possible um, collision threats from something that you
Mm,
don't know it's there.
mm.
So again, it could be a toy, a drone, small thing flown by a kid, or um, even intrusion from an aircraft with no I mean, anything could be anything. So we're trying
Anything.
to, and we're thinking of monitoring the vertiports, vertipads, 24/7, and then we could also monitor the whole corridor if it's not a huge thing.
Yeah.
Even if it flies over cities, because our system is totally passive, it doesn't emit anything. So it's okay to install it in on top of the buildings and so on. So you have a network of cameras covering
Mm.
the area you need.
And it's also something that could work for the military, I would assume. Have they expressed any interest in what you're doing?
Oh yeah, we're about to install a system in one of the military airports in Italy, and that will
Good.
start with the bird detection for bird strike avoidance, and but of course they are really interested in drone detection as well.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
you know, it's funny you should mention that. Not funny at all. You should mention that. But you know, during the LA fires, I think a drone collided with a Canadair.
yes, yeah.
So what the hell? I mean, you know, who thinks about flying this when people are saving lives and pilots are putting their lives on the line to save people? I mean, but that would be a good example of okay, there's a foreign object here. Unidentified doesn't matter. Watch out, and then shoot it down. I
But
guess.
there are other verticals we work on. For example, wind farms. As you know,
Yes.
the birds could be a danger for wind turbines. And also, in order to adhere to ESG requirements, um, the companies have to install systems where they know they're not going to make a big impact on wildlife there. So you cannot just cut in half
Yeah,
lots of birds, right? So our system
that's
will be
true.
there and detecting birds, and can also be interfaced with wind turbines and calculating the time that the bird gets takes to go to the blades, and then eventually
Wow.
slow down the blades or eventually stop them depending on the concentration of birds. So that's another thing, because there's
Wow.
not much you can do to keep birds away from there because usually wind turbines are in places in really wild places and lots of animals on the ground. And when an eagle or raptor sees something on the ground, they don't care about nothing. They just go. And, yeah.
Yeah, and they will not
Um,
avoid it. Yeah, yeah. It's
Also, another application is in oil sands. There are places in the world where they extract oil from oily sands. I don't know if you know about that. So,
yeah,
especially in
shales,
North
shale
America,
oil.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. And different variations of this as well. So again, wild areas with lots of birds, maybe migrating birds are seeing a pond with polluted water, and they say, "Oh, cool, I can go down and rest," and they go there and they don't get out anymore. So again, regulations in a lot of countries are very
Wow.
strict about ESG and environmental. So and companies pay big fines if they get oil birds. So here we are again, and trying to
Oh,
take and again the strategic planning in this thing plays a big role because we know after you study 1 year, 2 years, a long period of time, you know when there's the most probability of birds landing for mass landing in the ponds or things like this. So it's
yeah, that's true.
huge fields of applications, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Actually, yeah, there are. And you guys are also, speaking of involvement, you're involved with EASA. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're working on with EASA? Am I
Yeah,
correct?
we got in contact with the ASA, and we are part of the AI rulemaking group for airworthiness. So they
Good.
just got us in for studying new procedures for the advancing AI technologies in air transportation and airspace, basically. We're proud to say that we are with very big names in the world. Just to say some, NVIDIA and
Yes.
And Airbus, and so yeah. As you said, we come from a background where we can share a little bit of our experience, and one of our key philosophy points is we want to provide a solution to a problem and not a system. We just don't want to sell a system. We want
Mm,
to come up with a solution and again partner with the let's call it the client and just get there, get where they want to get, study together and see what we can do together and also improving the system as well for future usage.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you guys definitely have something that's very enticing, both in for conventional aviation and the future of aviation. You mentioned something about partnerships and everything like that. Do you want to talk a little bit about who you partner with? I know you're partnered with some of the people that we've already interviewed here. Actually, I think you're talking to True Weather Solutions too. Do you want to talk a little bit about your partners and how are you guys working together? Are you building an ecosystem of sorts?
All right. About the system, we have a strategic partnership with NVIDIA, Lenovo, and Bosch.
Good.
And then we are talking with the Skyway, actually.
Skyway, that was it. We interviewed Cliff actually two
Yes,
interviews ago.
exactly.
Fantastic what they have.
And we're trying to integrate our system to their solution. As you know, they'll be data provider for the network
Yep.
in the United States. So we are aiming at sharing our data. So again, setting a network of cameras around and sharing our data in their network. So yeah, that's something we're working on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're right. When we talk about AI, we have to talk about NVIDIA. That's the driving force behind AI. And especially in your case, because when I think of NVIDIA, I always think of GPUs, and of course, I think of cameras and all of that. So that's a match made in heaven. How does NVIDIA see the whole future of AI with AAM?
I wouldn't know how to answer to this in detail, so I don't
Okay,
want to say
just a
something
wild
that
question.
it's not so, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you is we're proud to test all the cutting edge technology that they developed. So everything that comes out and maybe is not out in the market yet, we have a chance to work with and test. Because yeah, you're right. We need a lot of GPU power to process all the data.
Yeah, yeah. I think NVIDIA found itself at the right place at the right moment with the right hardware without even thinking about it and just leapfrogged everybody in terms of AI anyway. So, Andrea, it's been amazing to hear more about the Edge company. I'm really impressed with, the solution that you have because it's more affordable than conventional solutions. It actually focuses way more on, I like what you said, the vertiport, multi-port bubble. That's a very good way of putting it together. It also makes a lot of sense. Just and also the fact that you guys are, you are from aviation, so you do have a lot of experience from multiple parts of aviation. Just the last questions is really more on the personal side of things. Why aren't you just flying a regular airplane or just be in a training school somewhere and call it a day? What possesses you to work in a startup?
Well, there's a very famous Italian comedian. He's dead now. He passed away a few years ago. He used to say, "You need to try to make your life wider rather than longer." So yeah, I'm trying to make my yeah, my life wider.
Wow, I like that a lot. I'm gonna keep that one there. It's not a question of longevity, is how filled you can make it. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, huh?
Yeah, I always say I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you and I have that one in common. I'm not sure what's gonna happen next, but boy, I've got lots of plans and we'll see what happens. Andrea, it was a pleasure talking to you. It was a pleasure interviewing you today and to learn more about the Edge company and how you guys are part of the overall advanced air mobility ecosystem. Are there any last words you'd like to leave our listeners or our watchers with before we say goodbye?
Yeah, we can talk about a little bit about the Starfighter next time. So, the F-104.
Oh yeah, that is, oh gosh, that's the mystical airplane I wanna fly once in my life in. And it's for those of you who don't know, Andrea used to fly the very popular, the very mystical F-104 Starfighter, which is a very fast airplane, very short wings, very thin wings. And when it came out, they all said that thing is not going to fly. It has no wings, no portants, no nothing. And boy, did they prove them wrong. But it's also an airplane that evolved throughout the decades, actually. And if I remember well, I think Germany and Italy were some of the last countries to keep them flying up until a few years ago. So you had the very last versions of that gorgeous airplane. I mean, aesthetically, it's beautiful. It's got some of the wildest records, speed records, altitude records. It's an incredible airplane.
Yeah, I'm one of the few lucky persons in the world that had this beautiful, fantastic chance. Yes.
Yeah, we hopefully we can have a special segment on the ways we move and talk about super fast jets because you know what, eventually we'll have hypersonic hydrogen flight. Who knows? All right, Andrea.
Well, it
Well,
was a
thank you very
pleasure.
much. Very much. Yep.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for coming today. And then I hope to, I look forward to seeing you again. And hopefully one of these days we'll have a round table with everybody, all the partners, and we'll talk a little bit more about what everybody's doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.